Mr. Adam, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. What about you?
I'm doing fantastic. I think we owe the listeners an explanation why I call you Adam.
Oh man, it's a long story, maybe for some other time, right? Not sure
All
if I
right.
want to go public with that information, so
Okay.
I
It's
think you
still,
know though. I think you know.
yeah. Still too soon, huh? Too soon. All right. Okay. Now we let them keep them wanting more, huh?
Absolutely,
All
It's
right. So three things that we want to talk about today, right?
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I would say let's start with the two fights that already happened, right? So I would say let's start with the Pereira and Blachowicz fight.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? What's your opinion?
Is it that light heavyweight?
It was a light heavyweight, yeah.
So this is the category where John Jones was fighting before, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. That's correct.
And Blachowicz, he is like 45 now. He's 40 years old and like 30 fights or something like this, no?
He has a lot of fights. I'm not sure. He has a record of something like 30 wins and like 8 losses or something like that. So
Jesus
yeah, he
Christ,
has
that guy has been fighting a lot, man.
he
That's a
he
lot of
has,
fights.
yeah. But I mean, he's 40 years old, and I don't know like what age he started, MMA. I think, early 20s or something. So yeah, he's been fighting for like close to 20 years now. So yeah, he's
He's
a he's
he
a fucking
he
veteran. And
he's breathing MMA, that guy. When he takes a
yeah.
shit, it's a shit of MMA. Yeah, yeah, there was like I just want to say leading up to this fight, in my mind, there's always been like kind of a how should I say it? Like I haven't doubted Alex Pereira's abilities, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure how good he really was in MMA, right?
Right.
So for me now to see him all the time, just all the time, just stepping up to the plate, always delivering, and like the mentality that the guy has, he reminds me like he doesn't remind me of Mike Tyson, but like the determination, like
Hmm.
the vision that he has. Like there's no facade, there's no what you see is what you get, and he's not interested in doing a lot of interviews. He says the least, but it makes the biggest headlines. So it was really cool to see him deliver once again.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, the guy is like absolutely no nonsense. He's like straight to the fucking point and no trash talk, nothing. You don't get nothing from him like that. But yeah, like as you said, I also kind of had doubts about his MMA game, because like obviously the guy started as a kickboxer. And to be honest, I was quite surprised because I was expecting Blachowicz to win. I was expecting him to be able to control him on the ground more and, maybe able to get a submission win. And yeah, I was quite surprised like how good Pereira is on the ground,
Well, he
like
got him in a
defending, I
choke.
mean.
Blachowicz got him in a choke in the first round, didn't he?
Uh yeah, he was like trying to set it up, like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it
kind
looked
of
very tight
in the
also in the
kind of
beginning,
yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, I mean that was impressive by Pereira, to be honest, because
yeah,
Blachowicz is a black belt, in jiu-jitsu, and that's why I was like when he had like one hook in under, like kind of he was under the chin, and
yeah.
I was thinking at that point, yeah, this fight might be over, because like when a fucking black belt grabs you like that, it's not a lot that you can do, but yeah,
Mm.
Pereira I think did an amazing job like defending it and also like getting back up to his feet and stuff like that. It was really impressive from him. Even it was like his eighth fight in MMA or something like that. So he's like not like a very experienced guy. And but I think he trains a lot with Glover, with Glover Teixeira.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think, that makes him a better fighter, certainly, because
Did you see
Glover is
he
like a
bought
third
Glover?
degree black belt or something.
Did you see he bought Glover a motorbike, motorcycle?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
It was kind of emotional, right?
Yeah, I mean it's amazing, like the guys. Yeah, it's real brotherhood, you know. I
Yeah,
mean, like these guys, they're not just training partners, they're brothers. So it's
yeah.
good to see stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, it's really good to see stuff like that. We see only the brutality in the octagon, and then you see like these guys being super sweet to each other outside of the fighting arena. So that's amazing. But with last time we talked about Pereira and Sean Strickland, doesn't seem like Sean thought of any English though.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know if Sean knows any English though.
Jesus, that
Like,
guy! I saw the podcast with him and Joe Rogan. Did you hear that one?
I actually haven't. No. How was it?
It was very entertaining, but it was like almost like a freak show. Listening
Mm-hmm.
to him, there's so much trauma there, and
Mm,
you're almost like when that podcast was over, I was just thankful. I was thankful for that MMA exists and gives these kind of characters on an arena to fucking behave, But
mm-hmm.
this guy should be locked up in jail, This guy, when he tells his story from his private life, I was shocked, man. I knew he was a tough guy, but all that stuff he's been through and his attitude and mentality towards it is like very entertaining, but also disturbing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't watched this episode with the Joe Rogan podcast, but I kind of know some things about his background and, like the things that he went through, it's crazy. Like and yeah, like as you said that MMA exists is a great thing because yeah, like probably if Sean wouldn't have a stage, to do all these things, he would probably just end up in a lot of street fights or end up like killing somebody. And it's a great thing that, he can prove in the fucking cage instead of, going all crazy in real life. So
Yeah, yeah, completely. It's very good that we have these kind of arenas because these modern days where you have this, you can choose your own adjectives, you can choose your own, what's it called, um, what do you call it when you can call yourself like not he or she but they or them or pronouns. Yeah, you can choose your own
oh,
fucking pronouns.
yeah.
This day of age is so strange. You're not allowed to be masculine is negative toxic masculinity if you're just like average masculine guy, right?
Yeah.
And so these characters who are extremely primitive, cool guys, nice guys, but primitive, if you step on their feet, they don't hesitate a second telling you where you belong, right? And this day of age, it's so good that they have an arena to just unfold, to challenge that kind of their behavior. But
Yeah.
what do you think is next for Pereira now that he has taken Blachowicz?
Oh man, I think, UFC is probably gonna give him a title shot next. So I don't know what's the situation right now in the light heavyweight division, like who's gonna fight for the title. Because I think it's not gonna be Pereira right now. But what I mean is I think it's gonna be Yuri Prohashka, or what's his name, the Czech
Yeah,
guy.
the
The
guy with the
fucking
hair.
samurai, right? Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be him and one other guy, maybe Magomed Ankalaev or yeah, I have no idea actually, but they are gonna fight for the title, and I think after that they're gonna give the challenge to Pereira because like Pereira is also like 36 or something, so he's kind of running out of time with this. So
Yeah.
I think he would be a big show, so they're gonna give him a title shot next.
What's kind of funny is that the only one who has beaten Adesanya was Blachowicz.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's
So that's he's a true hater. He's a fucking true hater. First he fucking follows Adesanya into the UFC, beats him up there, beats him up in the kickboxing world, and then when he loses the one fight against Adesanya, he goes the other division and fucking fights the only guy who beat up Adesanya before, and he takes him out too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like he has, I don't know. Maybe he's in love with the guy. I don't know, man. It's it's getting a little bit intense, this situation. Okay, so how about the next fight then? What do you think about the BMF title? What do you think about that belt in general?
Oh man, I think it has to do with promotion, it's not a real belt, obviously, because what the fuck is that? But yeah, I kind of like the idea that they have something, for like the most exciting fighters, or because it's basically for the most exciting fighters, right? Like Justin Gaethje and fucking Poirier, like they're the I would say like two of the most entertaining guys in the UFC right now. So it's not a bad idea, but I mean, at the same time, it's not a real belt. But I really hope to see like Justin fight for the belt next. Maybe the winner of Makhachev and Oliveira rematch. Fight Justin Gaethje. It would be a great fight.
Yeah, um, the way that I look at the BMF belt, it's like it should be like a WWE kind of feeling around it, like the wrestling. It's kind of I just feel embarrassed saying the full. What's the BMF belt? Baddest motherfucker. It just sounds retarded just saying it loud. So let me see. Yeah, so when it comes down to it, I'm like, I don't like them having a parallel title fight next to the original titles, and I think that they should remove that whole kind of thing, because or else call it something else, or it just feels weird, the whole belt thing.
It's definitely weird. Yeah, it's definitely weird.
So
Yeah,
what were
but
your
nevertheless,
expectations before the fight? Dustin Gaethje and no, Dustin Poirier. No, what's his first name?
yeah, it's Dustin Poirier. Yeah,
And Justin Gaethje, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Justin and Dustin. All right. Fucking retards, man. What are you using those kind of similar names for, huh? So Poirier versus Gaethje, right? So what were your expectations before the fight? Who would you put your money on before the fight?
Well, I was gonna say Poirier. I was gonna say Poirier is gonna win just because he beat Gaethje before, and I thought that like overall maybe he's the more well-rounded fighter. He's got probably the wrestling is kind of the same, but like Poirier got a little bit better jiu-jitsu, though that doesn't really matter because they just fucking stand and bang, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, maybe even with his striking, he's a little bit more technical. I think he's not as crazy as Gaethje, like a little bit less crazy. So I was gonna put my money on Poirier, but then again, like I think Poirier was winning that fight, by the way, before the head kick, but then Gaethje connected with this fucking beautiful head kick, and then it's lights out, right? So you it doesn't matter what you did before. Like it's the same with Usman and Leon Edwards, right? Like Usman was gonna win on points, but Edwards just connected the head kick. It was the same story. So
Same thing with Adesanya and Pereira.
yeah,
So it's a good point, man, that you're bringing that up, because Poirier, he said after the post press conference, he said that I was prepared, I was dedicated, I was out like I don't know 12 weeks for the fight camp. He was so in tune with what is the game plan, everything setting up, the low kick to the body, everything, and he was really surprised when he got hit with the first round with a head kick, right? But luckily he had the hand in between then. And it's so interesting that like you have your game plan, you are on paper practically bigger, better, and the odds are on your side, but you pull it out of the hat. That headshot from Leon Edwards, that that double punch from Adesanya, and now that head kick from Gaethje, just like pulling it out of a magician's hat like a rabbit, you know, bang, smacked it in the side of his head.
That's why I fucking love MMA, you know, because like let's say in soccer, you know, in fucking football, it's not the same thing. If one team is up like 5-0, you know, it's just no way for the other team to turn it around. You know, at that point the game is over basically.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
with MMA, there is no such thing. Like you can get dominated like fucking 50-44, right? But at the last second you just land a good shot and then you win the fucking fight. So that's why I love it because it's so unpredictable and you know, it's so many little things that play into it. So
You know,
that's why it's great.
that's so true. That's so true. What you said there is like the signature of MMA. You know,
Yeah,
just like you have to sit on the edge of your seat the whole goddamn fight. You know, because it's not over till it's over. You know, anything can happen, and this was a true example of that with that head kick to the head of Poirier. But actually, I was putting my money on Gaethje before the fight.
Oh, really? Why
Yeah,
is that?
because you know I saw this interview with uh, Nurmagomedov. What's his name?
Khabib?
Khabib Nurmagomedov. I don't know this last name, man. Try to
It's
say it.
Nurmagomedov.
Oh, fantastic! That's
Yeah.
why you're on the show, buddy.
I think they say it in another way, like the Dagestani people, like they have their own way to say it.
Say it like this.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Uh, no, I'm just making fun with the pronunciation because I can't do it, so that's why I had to make fun of it. But when it comes down to it, Khabib said once that like the person he has fought who hit the hardest, it was Gaethje. Every time he touched you with a punch and just touched you with it was like getting hit by a truck.
Yeah,
And
I
when
can
Khabib is
imagine.
saying that, you know, that humble guy, so respectful, and when he pulls out one fighter, you know, like who's the toughest fighter? I don't know which tough it was, but the one who hit me the hardest was Gaethje.
Hmm.
And then I remember from my own career in karate, it was like I met this gentleman. He's probably in his and like 65 plus years, right?
Hmm.
And he was teaching this class, traditional karate. So it's kind of a little bit stagnant, not so dynamic. So he's pulling these volunteers out of the crowd, showing the technique on them. Like they could be like a middle-aged lady, they can be like a young kid there, they could be like me, like a very athletic guy, you know. And every time he showed a technique or an exercise, he just like boom, straight to the money, bang. Like he didn't hold back.
Hmm.
Every time he was training when he was teaching, right? And I got the same feeling with Gaethje when I heard that from Khabib. You know, every time he hits you, it's like what Mike Tyson said: you got hit with bad intentions. You know, and when you do that every time, you have this mentality of every jab, every cross, every kick, everything you do is like getting hit by a truck. So I was like, based on that simple comment, I was like, Jesus Christ, Poirier he's longer, he's more athletic, probably. Well, not probably more athletic because Gaethje always do this backflips on the wall of the octagon every time he wins the fight. So he's pretty athletic, but he's more like a technical guy. Gaethje looks more like a brawler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's why I was saying that I was gonna say Poirier, you know, would win this fight because he's more technical and stuff. And you know, I was expecting Gaethje to get finished in this fight because in their first fight, you know, Gaethje showed like really low fight IQ because he got rocked and then, you know, instead of going for the takedown, you know, he just got basically fucking punished by Poirier and then he got finished, right? So I thought that Poirier is gonna be able to like execute that in this fight as well. But yeah, it didn't happen because Gaethje pulled out this beautiful head kick and then fight's over, right? So, but I mean, then again, as you said, like Gaethje is a guy who throws with intention, you know, with bad intention, like almost every shot, and that's what I really love about the guy, like how the guy fights, because just so entertaining, you know. That
Yeah,
fucking fight with Fiziev, I don't know that Azerbaijani guy. Like
yeah,
that was also like fucking fireworks the whole time, because they were throwing like bad intentions the whole time, and I was surprised that actually it went to the decision and like nobody got knocked out that fight.
yeah, yeah. So cool. I think that, also things that are very attractive to me as a fighter is like Gaethje's mentality. He's very respectful. He's very sincere. And the number one thing that I look in fighters these days are the emotional accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he says it. I don't feel anything in the ring. I don't feel anything. And when Poirier talks about, I love this feeling coming out, listening to the song, blah 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 blah, going into the ring. So he's there to do a job. He doesn't have any emotions about it. He's like Andrew Tate. If he says, like, if I should rely on my emotions to be motivated, do a good job, to have progress, to have a forward motion, I wouldn't get shit done. I do this regardless how I feel. No, and
Yeah,
that's like a
I think
true
that's a
indication of
great
like
mentality to
professionality.
have.
Yeah, you as a
Yeah.
lawyer, you want to go to the court and be emotional about shit? No, you got to be
Yeah.
professional. You don't have to have emotions around that. You got to get the job done, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not about like, not feeling your emotions or stuff, because like obviously you should feel your emotions, but the thing is that you should get shit done regardless of your emotions, right? So like no matter, I do this in my personal life. I started doing this a couple of months back. Like before that I was like, oh, today I don't feel like, working out because I feel like a little bit, depressed or whatever, and oh fuck that, so I don't work out, right? So I only worked out on the days when I'm like, feeling motivated and feeling good. And I said like, fuck it, I gotta work out, I gotta do 100 push-ups every day, because I gotta be in great, I want to be in great shape, and now I'm doing it regardless of how I feel. And actually it makes you feel better just doing this.
Fantastic, but I love to hear that, and that's what I'm taking from Gaethje. That's what I'm taking from Alex Pereira. That like that rock hard mentality of not being emotional and just going in there doing a job, but also be very very respectful and honest in the way that they express themselves. There's not too much Hollywood around that. So yeah, talking about Hollywood, what about Jake Paul and Diaz?
Oh man, that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be very interesting. But I think Jake Paul is gonna get it done. Um, why I think he's gonna get it done is because he's been focusing only on boxing for the past couple of years, right? Whereas Nate Diaz still had an MMA fight like 6 months back or something, so he had like other areas to focus on, like jiu-jitsu and these kind of things. And like also Jake Paul's younger and like a little bit bigger than Nate Diaz, so I think he's gonna get it done by a knockout. Um, but yeah, at the same time, you can never know with Nate Diaz because the man is just a fucking animal, right?
Yeah,
So he's
but you're
he's got a lot of
removing the
heart. But yeah, my money's on Jake Paul, man.
yeah. Yeah, I got the same feeling, bro. I got the same feeling that Jake Paul's gonna win the fight either by points or hopefully not by knockout. But Diaz is a street fighter, and if you look at like all his signature fights and signature moves, he's slapping people with open hands in the face.
Yeah,
And one of his biggest weapons is the ground fighting, the jiu-jitsu on the ground, right?
yeah.
He's also a very good stamina fighter, but sometimes me, from my background doing karate fights, we had these small gloves, right, just to protect the knuckles, a little bit thinner than the MMA gloves, and it's only to protect the knuckles, not like the boxing gloves that will protect your head for concussions and this kind of stuff, right? So once I transitioned into like Muay Thai or boxing and I got the big gloves, the distance that I was used to working in was feeling very strange because
Mm-hmm.
where as karate you can just like one punch, one kick, one throw, like one technique can finish the fight, right? Boxing relies more like you have to exhaust the other person, hit to the body, hit to the head, counting 1, 2, 3, up again, and do it again, and do it again. As karate has been more like precise, like surgeon, like boom, like cut straight like a samurai sword, like bang, and it just hit the nail on the top of the head with a hammer, right?
Mhm.
And I suspect the same thing can happen now with Nate, because these big gloves, he's not used to wearing those gloves. His style is not used to wearing big gloves, and only using big gloves and knockout power. He's not known for big knockout power. He's bitch
Oh,
slapping
he's
people.
not. He's definitely not. Like he's more of a volume puncher, I would say. Even in the UFC, I think he had like what 20 fights or something, a lot of fights, right? And he doesn't have one single like one punch knockout, like like Justin Gaethje, for example. So, yeah, but do you still think that it's gonna be a problem for him? Because I mean, he's got a lot of time to prepare for this fight. He knows that he has this fight for like 3-4 months now, and I'm pretty sure that all these 3 or 4 months the guy has been training with the normal boxing gloves, right? So I
Yeah,
don't think it should be a main issue for him.
I saw some clips where he was doing pad work, and that fucking scared me, man, in a negative way. Like, Jesus Christ, that's the
He
level of.
looked like shit.
Well, I wasn't impressed.
Okay, that doesn't sound too
So
good.
no, it doesn't. And when it comes down to it, I think it's a money fight. And then his last fight too was against Tony. What's it called?
Tony Ferguson, right?
Tony Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
And then that was his retirement fight. And then he was talking about, well, I got big plans. Maybe I'll transition to another sport and dominate that one. So he's just looking for a money fight right now. And like all the kind of, if you do the pros and cons, you will see that he's in it for the money. He's not in his element. His style is not um, the best for this kind of a fight. His body is not. He's like more like a triathlete than a boxer. Jake Paul looks
Yeah.
like a boxer now, like a little bit
Yeah.
more heavier in his feet, heavier in his punches. The movement is more tight. He looks like more like like a triathlete riding a bike, man. Like a little bit hangling in his fucking joints. So
Yeah.
when is the fight? Is this weekend or what?
I think it's 5th of August. Yeah.
Right, a
Which is
couple
like
more days and we will
Saturday.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think Nate Diaz, though, like where I think Nate Diaz has the advantage is like definitely the experience in combat sports, right? He's been fucking fighting for what 20 years now, and also like the guy is extremely durable. He has a great chin, and he's got a lot of stamina. He
Yeah.
never gasses out. So I think that's the area where he could win this fight. Even like, okay, you need a kind of different stamina for boxing as opposed to MMA, but still, I think he's got a better gas tank than Jake Paul. That's almost for sure. Because I mean, the guy runs like fucking, triathlons and all this kind of crazy shit. So I would say that he has the edge there, but yeah, it's still not gonna be enough, in my opinion, to beat
Do,
Jake
do,
Paul.
do you think this is a fight that Nate Diaz should have taken in the first place?
Well, I would say, from the point of view that the guy is 38 years old and, this is a big payday for him. So I can't blame him. Okay, you asked me this question. There are two opinions, right? So if we're talking about, just from the career point of view, I think this is a bad fight for him because then he should have, went to another MMA organization, like PFL or something, fight some, unknown guy and get a great submission win or something like that. That would be better for his MMA career, but at the same time, it would make him like probably 10 times less money. So from the money point of view, given that the guy is gonna retire soon. So I think this is the best option that he could do.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Thank you for asking. I think that I don't think he should have taken the fight. But do you remember that old fight with Nick Diaz and what's his name? What's his name? It's a West Coast fighter as well. Old school fighter. Let me look that up. Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler.
Right. Okay.
So after that fight, Nick Diaz lost, and Robbie, like in post fight in the octagon, is like, "Dude, are you okay?" He's like,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
dude, are you okay? Do you need anything? Like, can I help you with anything? Right? And then I got the feeling like, dude, he just took the money out of, I don't know what kind of personal issues or challenges that he had at that time. You never know if a mother's full of cancer, or if your house is, getting evicted or whatever, right? So based on like fighting career, absolutely not. Should never have taken this fight. That's my opinion. When he has done it, it's okay because it will bring money in the box. But at the end of the day, I think, look at Khabib. He still lives in his old village, with his goats and animals and everything, and just like perfect symbiosis with his circumstances, living with the people there, living with his family, having his wife, having his mother in the house. Everything is balanced. He can do like 10 more fights easily, right? But enough is enough.
Yeah, I think you cannot really compare Khabib's situation to Nate Diaz, because I think Khabib, first of all, like he made a lot more money, in his career than Nate Diaz, and especially the later stage, right? Because he fought Conor, he fought Poirier, Gaethje. Yeah, I don't know who else, but yeah, like he certainly made some more money,
Well,
and also
Nate fought Conor twice.
That's right. You got a point
So
there.
when you look at the career and look at the fights and look at the legacy, imagine him opening a gym, opening something, having just like a more balanced life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, these are primitive fighters, like if we were living 300 years ago, these gentlemen would be sitting on horseback, riding horses into a village and chopping people's heads off. They would be like the ultimate fighters of that age. So you can't expect them to have like, oh, let's put this money in the bank, invested this in stocks and funds, and they okay, some do, but at the end of the day, you got to be a little bit crazy to be in this game, right? So to expect completely,
as you mentioned that, like I was quite surprised that Jorge Masvidal is quite intelligent from this point of view. He has his own, MMA organization, and he has his I think energy drink or something like that, or maybe an alcoholic drink. I'm not exactly sure, but the guy is making fucking investments, and I wouldn't have expected that out of Jorge Masvidal, right? Like he looks like a fucking idiot, basically. Like no disrespect, but he does. Like I mean, and also some of his actions, like he attacks Colby Covington, in front of a fucking restaurant and these kind of things. So he looks like
after
a moron, right?
after losing a fight to him.
Time, he's investing his money, and he's doing a fucking great thing. So yeah,
I think like the management and like it's like in the music industry, people makes money, they have like a couple of hits, and they understand the money will run out if they don't invest it smart. And these days, just buying a house, paying down the mortgage, 20 years ago you can pay down a mortgage in like 4 or 5 years based on the salary. Now we got to have like 20-30 years to pay down a house. So that's kind of an old school mentality to do kind of investments. So right now they're doing companies, they're doing stocks, they're doing crypto, they're doing a lot of different kind of smart investments and have better knowledge about that. But when it comes to Nate Diaz, I think this is a fight he shouldn't have taken. I think he should more like, if you want to be in that circus, go do WWE, do some exhibition stuff. Don't put your line on the neck against a YouTuber, you know, because Jake Paul is a legit boxer. And if I fought him in boxing, he would probably kick my ass. But when it comes down to it, he's a YouTuber. These guys.
Why do you think it's a bad idea for Nate Diaz? Because he's gonna lose, or
Yeah, I think he's gonna lose. And either way, if he doesn't, let's say best case scenario, he knocks him out.
Mm-hmm.
The whole MMA fight world will rejoice and like, wow, finally somebody took out that young kid, you know?
Yeah. I think it would give Nate Diaz some great momentum, you know, because then he would be the first one.
Yeah, like in the market, money-wise, but in fighting, we won't look back and like, wow, that was an awesome fight. That was fantastic. No, you're out of your element. That's like watching like an athlete changing sports and going from tennis to playing some ping pong. You know, it's like, yeah, you're not gonna see that person at their best performance. You know, that's why we want to see these athletes. We want to see they're at the best sport that they can be, at the best shape, the best time of their life. Because the rest of us, we can't do it on that level. And now you want to see like a shitty fucking performance from a fantastic athlete? No, I don't want that. You know, that's a circus.
Yeah, I mean, I would blame Nate Diaz, you know, if he would do this kind of fight, like let's say 5 years ago when he's still like, let's say, early 30s and stuff, and he has a chance to actually become world champion. Now I think he probably realized that he doesn't have a chance for that anymore, you know, because there are young guys like fucking Chimaev, you know, all these fucking young dudes, just, you know, very hungry, very athletic, very good fighters. So Nate Diaz doesn't really have a chance to become a UFC champ anymore. And I think overall, he made a great choice because he's gonna secure the bag. And, you know, this is my point, that I cannot blame him, because like people do way worse things for money, you know, than just take a fight against a YouTuber. So, you know, I think it's good for him. It's bad for his career if you look at it that way, but it's good for him personally, I believe.
So to round the whole thing up, it's like this old story about this gentleman asking this beautiful lady, hey, would you like to have sex with me for $1 million? And she looks at the gentleman and says, yeah, sure, I would do you for $1 million. And then he slides $1 over the table to her. She, what the hell is it? What do you think I am? Oh, we just established what you are. Now we're just discussing the price. So you can do a lot of things for money, Adam. So let's hope it turns out for the best for Nate, and his legacy is sealed forever. All right.
Absolutely.
Have a good one, buddy, and talk to you soon again.
You too.
Ciao.
Have a
ciao.
good night, bro.